Welcome back to The Heat. We're talking about the major political gathering in Beijing, the two sessions. On Thursday, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi addressed a series of issues at a press conference attended by hundreds of journalists from China and around the world. Well, let's start this part of the program in Beijing with Victor Gao. Victor, let me get your impressions first of what Wang Yi, the Foreign Minister, means when he talks about a new vision for international relations.
I think Foreign Minister Wang Yi pointed out a new outlook for the international relations. And this is not only his view, but mostly President Xi Jinping's view for the world order. And I think, as he mentioned, it's very much characterized by equality, by win-win, by cooperation. And this reflects that there are some features in the current international order which may not be considered desirable. For example, sometimes a regular threat to use force against smaller countries and treating other countries not as an equal, but putting your own country on top of the others and keep lecturing others, trying to impose your value onto other countries, etc. So I think the Chinese vision for the future will create much more equality and a sharing of the economic benefits for all the countries participating in it. And this is exactly what President Xi Jinping has called the community of the common destiny of mankind. And I think all the other countries have a choice to listen to what President Donald Trump has to say and to listen to what the Chinese President Xi Jinping and yesterday the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi have to say, and they can make comparison between these two very, very different visions for the world and make their own choices. And I think their choice will be very logical and natural.
Victor, one of the key areas that Foreign Minister Wang Yi addressed was Africa, noting that China will help Africa on the twin issues of security and peace, and of course, as well as development. How do you see China helping in this area?
Well, indeed, I think Foreign Minister Wang Yi mentioned there are 4 major international events that China will host in 2018. One of them is the China-African Summit again in the latter part of this year. And this will reconfirm and rededicate China to working together with the African countries. From the Chinese perspective, we always look at the African countries and people as brothers and sisters. We care about their well-being. We want to share our experiences with the African countries. And China has made lots of investments in all kinds in Africa. And China has sent out many special teams like health team, experts, for example, helping the African countries to set up special economic zones, industrial parks, etc., and imported lots of things from Africa to help create jobs and transfer technologies and expertise to Africa. And China has also provided assistance to train African students and professionals here in many universities in China. And I think all this will continue. In reality, the Chinese consistent and continued engagement with Africa over the past 4 decades is one of the reasons why Africa has changed from the so-called forgotten continent to a very dynamic, a very vibrant continent with lots of economic activities in different parts of Africa. Africa needs investments from all countries in the world, including the United States and many European countries. So China will be very happy to work together with these countries, especially more developed countries, to work with the African countries and people together to help them to build up national capacity and to promote their economic development.
Sourabh, that's Africa. Let's look at another part of the world where China is looking, and that is Asia, South Asia, to be specific. Foreign Minister Wang Yi addressed the relationship between China and India. Let's listen.
中印关系保持着发展的势头，当然也经历了困难和考验。
Despite some tests and difficulties, the China-India relationship continues to grow. In the process, China has both upheld its legitimate rights and interests and taken care to preserve the relationship. Chinese and Indian leaders have developed a strategic vision for the future of our relations. The Chinese dragon and the Indian elephant must not fight each other, but dance with each other. If China and India are united, 1 + 1 will equal not only 2, but also 11.
So, Sourabh, here we have these two countries, major powers in Asia and in the world. How do you think those comments will be received in New Delhi?
I think the comments will be received well in New Delhi. Obviously, for the last 2 to 3 years, the relationship has gone downwards. It went downwards because initially President Xi wanted to really build a very good rapport with Prime Minister Modi.
But we did have those border tensions.
Yeah, we did have the border tension. But he really wanted to move very rapidly in a positive direction with Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi gave ambivalent signals, but he deepened his relationship with the US and did not really tend to the China relationship the way he should have and could have. Then we had Doklam, and the matters spiraled down, but they managed to place a floor underneath that. And it's actually a very positive trend to note that in this last month, the Indians were able to talk to China within the Financial Action Task Force Forum with regard to financing of terror activities and asked China to take a stronger stance against Pakistan, and China agreed to do so. And in return, in this last month also, the Prime Minister Modi has told his senior ministers and bureaucrats to stay away from an event that the Tibetan government in exile in New Delhi with the Dalai Lama are celebrating on his 60th anniversary of coming to India. Both these events both these issues, Pakistan-sponsored or aided terror and Tibet, had been the reason for the downfall in China-India relations for the past 2 years. Both have been actually a basis now for stabilizing it and perhaps improving it. And so Wang Yi's comments are just going to add further momentum to this process and help, I don't think true improvement as such, but a basic stability to the relationship so that it could then again take off later when the two parties are again committed to each other.
So let's talk about China's economy, its economic growth. It's something that affects not just China, but the rest of the world. Are you confident that China's laid out these plans, ambitious plans? Are you confident that there will be success going forward?
I think Prime Minister Li Keqiang's in his report, he is predicting the economy this year will be developing at 6.5%. I think that is a very, very moderate aim, and I don't think there's any major question to achieve it. The major challenge now for China is how to deal with local labor and debt issue, and how to deal with those kind of rural poverty issue and other issues, how to make our economy to be more innovative. I think the growth rate is not a major issue. If China wants, it can make it to be like 6, 7, 8, even a little bit fast, but that's not the focus of our government at this moment.
Okay. Victor, I've just got about 30 seconds left, but these two sessions meetings that are taking place right now, they come just months after the 19th Party Congress. So given the timing, how important are these particular meetings?
I think this year's two sessions probably will be recorded in history as one of the most important sessions in recent history, mainly because the Chinese constitution will be amended and the major restrictions on the service of the Chinese presidency will be removed, allowing President Xi Jinping to serve as the Chinese president for many more years. And this will have long-term, lasting impact on the stability at the very top of the Chinese leadership for the coming years and probably for the coming decades.
Okay, that's where we have to leave it. Victor Gao in Beijing, Afshin Molavi, Sourabh Gupta, Zhang, thanks to all of you for being with us. That's it for this edition of The Heat. I'm Anand Naidu in Washington, D.C. Thanks for being with us.